Hello, rollers! Welcome back to another episode of Infodump, where we find cool stuff happening in the community, on the internet, and on Reddit, and bring it to you. I am one half of your hosts. I am Colin. I use they and he pronouns.
I am the other half of your host. My name is Hannah. I use they and them pronouns. How are you, Colin?
I am so excited to talk to you, Hannah. I think, a very cool piece of news that I'm excited about, and also a very cool bit of DM advice from Reddit that I think will, if nothing else, we'll both have very strong opinions about.
Oh, certainly. One thing that you can count on us to have strong opinions about all sorts
This
of
is true.
things.
I mean, usually well-reasoned, at least. It's not just like, I will say I kind of unreasonably hate warlocks, but whatever.
I have reasons. Whether or not you, the listener, find them justifiable
This is the
or
thing.
not is...
And actually, that's even a bit strong. I would say I actually have strong feelings and an unreasonable dislike for blood hunters, warlocks, whatever.
Dinosaurs in D&D.
Dinosaurs, as
really
it might
anti-dinosaurs
be.
in D&D.
Yeah. How are you doing, Hannah?
I'm doing all right. It was my birthday.
It was your birthday, it was awesome.
Yay. Happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy my birthday to all those listening.
Happy Hannah's birthday,
I hope
rollers.
you celebrated in whatever fashion is normal for you when you're celebrating my birthday.
I feel like it's just a better move to celebrate other people's birthdays. I feel really awkward about my own.
Do you really?
I hate planning stuff. Yeah, I feel a lot of pressure because a lot of people around me do really cool things for their birthday. They'll either have a really good theme for a party. I remember the one was during COVID was the teddy bears picnic. And so we got a bunch of people outside and people brought their teddy bears or dressed up as a teddy bear, wore their onesies, and there was games and fun sort of stuff. And it was great. And I feel a lot of pressure to reproduce something like that because I'm part of this community of creative people. And I'm like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Everything I can think of feels like something that I did in high school or has already been done.
Yeah, that's fair. I do feel that same pressure when planning to invite those people to a party because I'm like, we're just going to sit around and play games in my house, which is not even close to the level of what a lot of you guys are used to when someone says a party.
So I will refer you to our dear friend's mantra of the 3 things that make a party, which sometimes I kind of fuck this up and I think there's 4, but it's basically people, snacks, and something to do. And music is usually a really close 4th or part of that core group, but that's all you need to make a party.
Yeah, you do need an activity though. I do
but you've
find
you've got an activity, you've got games.
Yeah.
You're gonna have presumably there's gonna be some form of snacks.
When you're a kid, a backyard is an activity, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
All you need is a backyard and maybe a trampoline or a bouncy castle, and you're good to go. But I don't have anywhere to put a bouncy castle.
Right.
And I hear that they're really expensive to rent. So
and there was this interesting thing that we were just talking about, not you and I, but others in my house, where we went to a birthday party and we're like, well, it kind of had 2 of the 3 things. It kind of had music and snacks, and there kind of wasn't another thing to do, which sometimes you're like, well, when there's nothing else to do, that means you're doing whatever substance that everyone's doing. That's the whole point is mind-altering chemicals. Or we were like, oh, well, if it's your birthday, you've got the thing to do because you're like, I have everyone that I love and want to hang out with and want to talk to in one place. And so that's my thing to do at my birthday party is go and talk to all of my friends that I love. But then all of your friends are like, I guess I'm talking to these couple people that I know.
I'm waiting in line to talk to the birthday person.
Right? Yeah. So it's a very different, it's easy to think that you have an activity if it is your birthday, I think.
It's the awkwardness of attending a wedding where you know the couple, but not anybody else there. Because the couple, they're going to be busy is the thing.
Oh, I've done that.
Yeah.
Actually, okay. Little true story about me. Listeners, you learn a little bit of Colin history. I was raised Jewish. I went through, I am technically a member of the adult community. I had a bar mitzvah. I did some like continuing education that was, after school. And there was a thing that happened where like all the Jewish kids in the Bay Area, a couple times a year, anyone who was in this program would go have like an overnight hangout at one of the, campsites up north. If you know where like Camp Swig is, it was usually at Camp Swig. Um, and so I had a friend, and this friend and I had some very juvenile back and forth flirting, and then like someone being like, actually, no, I'm getting out of here. That weird way
Of
that
course.
teenagers do. In later life, we reconnected. We actually like dated briefly, and then it didn't work out because I was in circus school in Vermont and she was like here in California. And then she invited me to her wedding a few years later. Uh, and we kind of stayed in touch, but I was like, I know zero people at this event except my friend who's getting married
Right.
and her parents.
Mhm.
And like, I carpooled with 3 people and I like sort of got to know them a little bit, but not really. And I was like, this is a straight traditional Jewish wedding with like people wearing their talits and wearing kippas and like fucking wearing, everyone's in suits. And now I go to weddings and like, this is the sluttiest, gayest wedding I've been to, and I love it.
Yeah, because that's what joy is in our
Yeah.
hearts.
Yeah.
But that is because see, the thing is, the bride and the mother and father of the bride, they generally have things to do at
Yeah.
a
It was
wedding.
like, I don't know. And it was an important in my life when I was like even worse than I am now at like being in an environment where I don't know people and trying to
Mhm.
meet them. Like I'm bad at that now. I was
Mhm.
miserable at it earlier in my
Yeah,
life.
no, for sure.
So that was fun.
There was a point
Speaking,
in my life when I was a young child where I was good at it. Um,
you're almost good at it by default,
I think
right? Because everyone's
so.
like, "Oh, you're adorable. Come hang out with me."
I think
You
too,
know?
you're a kid, so you're kind of fearless in a
Yeah.
way. Like you, especially if you're surrounded by good adults who love you very much. You don't have that sort of like, oh well, I shouldn't go
Yeah.
talk to that person. I don't know them, and they might not like me. Which I have literally all the time now, even with my closest friends. So
But we love you. Yeah,
yay, I love you too.
my mom loves telling this story about me being like 2 or 3 years old in an ice cream shop and just she's like ordering whatever vanilla yogurt for me or something and looks around and I in my like, little Oshkosh overalls and whatever
Hmm.
are like have walked up to a table with 2, I think they're either like teenage or early 20s girls in my mom's telling, and I have just started talking to them and engaging them and they're having a great time and they're laughing and my mom has to drag me away. And in her words, as she's dragging me away, I wave to them and I say, "I'll call you later, girls. I'll call you later." And I'm like, "What happened to that kid? Why don't I do that?"
High school.
It's
Anyway,
well, I mean, it's so much yeah. Anyway, you wanna talk about some D&D?
I would love
And some
to.
not. Shall we roll these for first bit of
Let
news?
us do the rollies for the first bit of
Okay,
news.
let us see. Wow, Google does not like me today. 7.
18.
All right, Hannah, what do you got?
So, Wizards recently released a new kind of bout of Unearthed Arcana on April the 2nd. Uh, Villainous options
Mm,
for the cleric, the druid, the fighter, and the sorcerer, as well as 2 new feat pathways to build out into a Death Knight or a Lich. The Unearthed Arcana, for people who do not know, is playtest material, usually for future releases. It often gets tweaked. But it is available right now for free. You can download the PDF off of D&D Beyond. And the 4 new subclasses are the Pestilence Cleric, the Circle of
okay.
Titan Druid, the Hell Knight Fighter, and the Demonic Sorcery Sorcerer, who I think needs a new name because Sorcery Sorcerer doesn't feel great in my mouth.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, what yeah, that's a
yeah.
bad name. Presumably that'll
All of
get
this
fixed.
obviously is very aligned with their the season of horror that they're in the
Mhm,
midst of right now, leading up to the Ravenloft release. Um, this is the second Unearthed Arcana this year. There was the Mystic subclasses that were released in January in comparison
mhm.
to a bunch in 2025. I think we had 9 over the course of the last year. But the 4 new subclasses, the Pestilence Cleric unleashes plagues and pestilence as acts of devotion to gods of disease, famine, poison, and decay. The Circle of Titan Druid, in place of your wild shape, you now can wild shape into a kaiju to wreak havoc on nature's
Okay.
enemies. The Hell Knight Fighter is a knight in service to archdevils, equipped with hellfire weapons. And the Demonic
Mm.
Sorcerer use their bodies as conduits of demonic power, which eventually emanates from them in an abyssal aura.
I'm sorry, they really got to change. Demonic
Yeah,
sorcerer
I
is
agree.
bad.
The
Just
mouthfeel
What's
is
wrong with
not
just
great.
demonic sorcerer?
I think that's fine. Let's just go
What
with
are they,
that for the rest of the
wait,
podcast.
what's the like celestial one now? Is it just divine origin? No.
I do
Like
not
because
know.
there's okay, well, now I'm gonna
Go
see if I
ahead.
can figure this out quickly. Um yeah, okay. Okay. So they're doing all this
Mhm.
and my immediate reaction is going to be as simple, how the fuck do you not make Circle of the Titan insanely overpowered if you're basically turning into a Tarask all the time?
Honestly, looking at what they have, the balance is
Sure.
there. Actually,
Okay.
the most overpowered of these 4 does appear to be the Pestilence Cleric, who gets abilities to exhaust and infect and necrotize their opponents.
Cool.
Might actually be a little bit too OP. Um, Dungeon Mister did a deep dive into all 4. The Circle of Titan Druid, very fun, very cool. Does something new and fun with wild shape, much different.
Yeah.
Being
It,
Godzilla is
I mean,
fun, right?
is it at all kind of like walking back on some of the druid changes where like we talked about in 2014 your wild shape has its full HP that you have to go through before dropping out of it and taking actual damage versus 2024 it's now you wild shape you have temp HP equal to your druid level, like something that we were like this
Mhm.
is fucking terrible, we hate this. So yeah, I'm going to zero in on the Titan, being like, how do they handle this now?
Yeah, to zero in on the Titan, you at level 3, you get the to wild shape on the Titan form table, which allows you to use in place of your wild shape, adopt a quote unquote Titan form, choosing either
Uh
a
huh.
behemoth, a leviathan, or an insectoid stat block. Um,
Cool.
all of those stat tables are included within the PDF that you can download. At level 10, you get Primal Havoc, which improves that Titan form,
Hmm.
allowing you to become huge.
Uh
It
huh.
also
Uh huh.
gains an additional benefit based on
Okay.
what stat block you're
Okay.
using. Um, you at level 14 become gargantuan. And
Fun.
have an ability that
Fun
allows you
for
to
DMs. Fun for
it
everyone.
allows you to swallow a number of creatures equal to your wisdom modifier.
Oh, that's cool.
As part of one of the many things that you can do as a gargantuan creature. But yeah, essentially you are building out. You get to describe it, or you can build it from a table. Your own Titan, based on
Uh
these
huh.
stat blocks of the behemoth, the leviathan, and the insectoid. Um, and all of those creatures get it looks like a temp HP that's 2 times your druid level on top of the HP that you already have.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Neat.
Yeah. Circle of Titan is
I
I
feel
think
more
of all of
excited about
these
that.
very exciting and fun for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have the Hell
That's
Knight Fighter as
hmm.
well. The Hell Knight
Mm-hmm.
Fighter and the Demonic Sorcerer, a little bit more critical from people. The Hell Knight starts really cool, but its usefulness drops off pretty fast. It's very strong at level 3, then kind of
Uh huh.
comparable to a Battle Master fighter, just sort
Uh
of
huh.
drops off in usefulness as the game levels up around it. Demonic Sorcerer is kind of designed to be a brawl caster. The idea is that you get in and
Yeah.
that your abyssal aura is part of what is doing damage. And the major criticism, of course, is that you can't do that when you're a sorcerer. You're a squishy little guy. So
Well, I mean,
a
I guess
more
only to be
leaning
fair,
more
like,
into in the future, like maybe
sure.
a get in, get out mechanic might be more useful here.
Yeah. Or like, I mean, sorcerers at least have proficiency in their con save, and maybe this is one where you'd like need to just artificially bump your actual hit die.
Hmm. Hmm.
Maybe like, I don't know. Well, I'm curious to see where it goes. It's interesting to see more official leaning into this path, right?
Yes.
What we previously basically had officially, as far as I'm aware, was just the Illrigger, just like its own fucking class of like be a
Right.
Death Knight kind of thing.
Hmm.
And now here's no, you still play, but like this is your all evil party at the table kind of thing.
Yes. This is
Um,
definitely lending itself to all evil parties, including like these two new villainous paths that
yeah.
allow
Well,
these are not subclasses but feats that allow a
yeah.
character
Uh-huh.
to transform themselves into either a death knight or a lich. Basically, you take a building chain of feats starting at level 4, then again at level 8, and then you ascend, quote unquote, at level
Mhm.
12 into a death knight or a
Mhm.
lich. Um, yeah, very interesting
Yeah.
ways of sort of offering this opportunity to play characters that are not particularly heroic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm saying this and also I'm just like, the druid is still just a druid,
Yes.
right? I don't know that I would call this necessarily like a villainous subclass as much as like, no, this is like the true neutral nature above all else.
Mhm.
I'll wreck a city if I need to.
Right.
There's a way it reminds me of what's his face? Dinosaurus in the Invincible comics,
Mhm.
right? Are you for people unfamiliar, um Invincible is a great comic. Go read it. Maybe watch the show. Go read it for sure. Dinosaurus is a villain who is one of the people that is, the classic type of villain that is insanely smart and recognizes how badly humans are fucking up the environment and will do things like minor spoilers for a mid run arc of Invincible. He tells everyone that he's about to bomb Vegas. All the heroes fly to Vegas, and Invincible flies around and finds one bomb and thinks he's fine. He's like, no, I planted 75 of them and they're all going to detonate now. And he turns the entire city of Vegas to glass, which is then becomes a like solar installation instead of a city. And he also does things like, there's too many fucking people. Maybe I need to figure out a way to just like make everyone, release a cold virus that also turns 50% of the population sterile. Like that's his line of thinking, right?
Mhm.
And I
Ecofascism.
argue that's not like megalomaniac villain of I must have all the world wealth and the power and the money in the world. That is the world's going to be destroyed by people if I do nothing and I'm smart enough to do something about
Yeah,
this.
it's ecofascism. Like it's
Yeah.
definitely like it's ecoterrorism, it's ecofascism. Like
Yeah.
it's not it's definitely not what people usually think of when they think of
Yeah.
like evil. People don't usually think of Godzilla and they're like if they know
Yeah.
Godzilla, evil, they're just like powerful natural
Well,
force.
I mean, and Godzilla and other things similar are usually examples of human hubris causing this, right?
Yes.
Godzilla's origin is like nuclear testing on a small isle done by either Japan or the US that then birthed this monster that walks out of
Mhm.
and destroys Japan.
Yeah.
And if I don't know too much of the lore of like Mothra and the other like mecha guns, like
Mhm.
I think they're all humans fuck things up, and then this is a weird kind of overcorrection from nature.
Yeah,
I
a
mean, you
pretty
could think of the
essential
circle of
part
Poseidon
of
in that
most
way.
kaiju fiction
Yeah,
is the
yeah,
kaiju is a representative of mankind's hubris
yeah,
in
yeah,
injuring nature, thinking
yeah,
that they can control it.
yeah.
So I
So,
do think that's very
mm,
fun. I don't think
yeah,
that was an option that was
yeah,
really available to druids before now.
yeah,
So
totally. No, I'm into
yeah,
it. I mean, I love my eco-terrorist spores druid,
I know you
but,
do.
you know, they're all about their mushrooms. God, I missed that campaign.
I know.
Okay, so I did look, branching us back to the semantics of demonic sorcerer. What I have learned, so in 2014, because that's where like more of them are in the fifth edition, we have there is storm sorcerer.
I
The
see.
rest of them all make a
Mhm.
little more sense. There's the aberrant mind, clockwork soul, divine soul was the one I was thinking of, draconic bloodline, shadow magic, wild magic, rune child, the critical role based one. And then in the new version, what is currently out is just called aberrant sorcery, clockwork sorcery, draconic sorcery, and wild magic sorcery, which makes me think
We're
they have
probably going
leaned
towards
hard into the
demonic
semantics we don't
sorcery.
like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think they're and maybe they're assuming people just like don't say sorcerer, like, oh, what kind of sorcerer are you playing? Oh, draconic sorcery. I don't fucking know,
I
but
don't
like
know.
I don't like it.
I don't love it.
Semantics and words
Bad
are important.
mouthfeel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that it'll be really interesting to see like how they move forward with this in any official
Hmm.
capacity. I have seen a lot of excitement about this online. I think that there are a lot of
Yeah.
options here that were not previously available to people for player characters. I think a lot of these
Yes.
have been
Yes.
sort of pathways for non-player characters or homebrewed characters, but having this within like kind of the official canon of D&D could be very fun and
Yeah.
interesting. I have seen a lot of debate over which ones are overpowered and which ones are underpowered. No one can really seem to agree, especially with these feats of the Death Knight and the
I mean,
Lich.
people feel very differently about what constitutes an overpowered like base
Right.
class or subclass on its own, you know? I feel
Yes.
like I hear stories of people that are like, no, all clerics are overpowered, no clerics at my table. And you're like, that
Yeah.
sounds like a you problem. That
That
sounds
sounds
like a
crazy.
you
Um,
poorly balancing combat and other things as a DM problem, you
Balance
know?
is very contingent upon the table is my experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Generally speaking, like, it depends on how you run the game,
Mhm.
and it's very hard to
Sure.
calculate, like, what will be balanced just based on rules as written. Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see. I think part of what's going on with the Death Knight and the Lich that people have very, sort of concrete ideas of what constitutes a Death
Sure.
Knight or a Lich, and
Sure.
so
And 50 years of gameplay and canonical like villains
of
that
course.
have been explored this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So
having said that, I can think of like 3 people off the top of my head that were like, "How do I become a Death Knight in this campaign?" And some people
yes.
and a couple DMs being like, "No." And one DM being like, "Well, let's figure it out."
Yes.
And then I think that player like changed their plan anyway. Like it didn't end
We
up
have
happening.
we have a
But
player at our table right now who's strongly contemplating endgame being a lich. So,
mhm.
I think that it's fun that we now have,
Yeah.
like, potentially some canonical
Yeah.
ways to
Totally.
make that possible.
I I am what I remain frustrated by is how software as a service Wizards is making D&D now,
Yes.
right? We have to buy every goddamn new thing.
Mhm.
Not have to. They want us to buy
Yeah.
every fucking new thing. You know, the Unearthed Arcana is going to go away as soon as these classes are folded into the you're right. I think probably the Ravenloft book. That feels
Yeah.
like a very, very safe assumption.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I remain annoyed by the like continuing to find new things. And I think it's because, as I'm saying this out loud, I think it's because for all of its flaws, D&D Beyond makes things easy.
Mhm.
But when you can't access the things you're excited about and your players can't access the thing they're excited about unless you pay money for it, that doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it's one thing to, like, have a book that you can pass around.
Yeah,
It's another thing to, have
to
an
be
elect
paywalled.
right, to be paywalled, to have an
Yeah,
electronic
yeah,
object that you can't use unless you pay for it.
yeah, yeah.
And so yeah, it's really interesting. I would imagine I also I have a few issues, not necessarily huge ones, but a few issues with the fact that testing these things has now become unpaid community labor
Yeah.
rather than paid in-house testing. Um,
Well, why would they pay people when they have a community that'll do it for them?
Right, exactly, and
This is
they do have a
we know
community
this is
that will
how
do it for
capitalists
them.
think.
Of course,
Yeah.
but I think, especially with my background in quality assurance testing in the video game industry, it
Yeah.
is very distressing to see that get
Mhm.
so outsourced. I think that, like, people brought up that in the most recent books, there have been a sort of a dearth of mentioning any in-house testing, and I think that is because they are
I don't think
doing
they're
much
doing it.
less of it. I don't think they're doing it. I
Yeah.
think they're
No, I
outsourcing
think
it.
I think they have left it up to the resources of the community that still cares about D&D to do this for them,
I think if anything, 9
which
Unearthed
feels
Arcana
gross.
last year proves it, right? 9
Yeah.
Unearthed Arcana with countless we're not talking like one release as any
Yeah.
part, like, that was, like, a bunch of subclasses, a bunch of feats, a bunch of spells, like, all released, like, bam, 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 bam last year, and ostensibly because they were working on the books that those things were gonna go
Yeah.
into, and
Yeah.
I feel that that is artistically irresponsible, to say the least.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I am excited about these subclasses, and I am hopeful that they will also be doing some in-house testing on their end, along
We
with,
can
like, this sort
fucking
of beta
cross our
run.
fingers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah. Well, and like, when they actually release that book, we'll
We'll
probably
see.
check back in on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Hannah, have you heard of a game called Sword World?
No.
I am bringing to you a little piece of what I think is very exciting news, mainly courtesy of our friend Chris Hutton at TTRPG Insider. But this is like making some waves. I think Rascal has also covered it, several other things. So, to start, for those that don't know, Sword World is kind of like the Japanese D&D. And it in fact started as a group of Japanese RPG players who recorded their campaign. Uh, it was known as the Record of Lodos War. Uh,
Oh, I know
and
Record of Lodos War.
okay.
Okay.
And so this group, Group SNE or Group TNE, it is in two different spots, uh, submitted their thing to TSR to turn into a written setting. TSR rejected it. And they decided, well, fuck you. We're going to make our own rules. So Sword World has sold more than 10 million copies since 1989. It is currently on edition 2.5. And until now, it has never been officially translated out of Japanese. But in what I find adorable and hilarious and very apropos, an American company called Mugen Gaming, founded by a married couple, I, Namina Davison, and Sean Davison, who live in Kansas City, Missouri, met one of the designers of Sword World at, I think, at Essen in Germany, and were like, please let us translate and copy and produce this game for you. Um, and so this couple has spent since 2024, when they initially met the president of Sword World's IP owner, Group SNE. Since 2024, they have been in discussions how to bring Sword World to English audiences, and it has finally happened. They are crowdfunding right now, and they are translating second 2.5 edition into English.
That's amazing.
I thought this was really cool for a couple of reasons. One, it's made me realize that there are definitely 1,000 games never made it to English
Yeah.
publishing that are probably as cool or cooler than anything that we hold on a pedestal, from like Apocalypse World to D&D to now Daggerheart and like Call of Cthulhu. All the things that we think are awesome, there's probably a just as cool, if not better version that is not in English.
Yeah. The idea that, like, the TTRPG community is worldwide. Um,
Mhm.
I watch a guy who professionally DMs in Japan. Um and I think it's wonderful and fascinating to see how this art form gets interpreted and
Yeah.
expanded upon in spaces that are so far outside the US and other English speaking countries as well. Um very, very
Mhm.
interesting. And such a cool story of like small community. You meet the guy and you say, "Hey,
Yeah.
can I please translate it?" Like that is old school TTRPG
Yeah.
stuff. Like that's really
Yeah.
like, you talk about like when Gygax was releasing initially, and yeah, it's mostly just a bunch of people in a room trying to make something together. That's really wonderful.
I mean, I think this is also a lot of where, although things like Essen and Gen Con are fucking huge, the fact that the designers and makers of the games you love go to these things like mean that you can actually make personal connections like this and stories like this happen.
Yeah.
Our community is not so insanely large that you'll never ever see the people you admire the most for whatever reason, like you will. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that is really cool. I also there's like a couple things that I'm like, this seems interesting, and this will I think people will have strong opinions. Like compared to D&D, Sword World is described as vibes based rather than mechanically or optimization based as D&D might be.
Heard.
Players are encouraged to choose their character class based on appearance or an ideal like vision of the gameplay. Um, and there is also it is a simpler. It actually almost sounds like more powered by the apocalypse. That most of it is a 2d6 plus a modifier. And crucially, what I find really interesting and what I'm like, uh, in transparency, as soon as I learned about this, I was like, sign me up for at least knowing about the fundraising.
Mhm.
It's supposed to go live in May, um, and it is there is an expectation of multi-classing because the way that as I've been able to figure out the way that characters acquire skills and level up is not you have a set skill tree based on your class, but a little more as like 3.5 and Pathfinder have done it, where like, sure, you have a class, but you can pull in these specific skill trees from other classes and other things to make your vision of this character what you want and to make sure you have a balanced party in that respect, rather than being like, oh, okay, we need to have a marshal, a tank, a healer, and a caster. It's like that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But you're like, oh, I'm gonna say I'm a marshal, but I'm actually really fucking good at lock picking because I can do that kind of thing. And like our rogue is like, actually, I'm shit at that, but you know what I'm really good at is this other thing. Um, so I think that's like a really interesting and cool way of approaching it.
I
Um,
agree.
yeah.
Yeah, I knew Record of Lodoss War because it was
Hmm.
an anime. Very
Hmm.
pretty famous one. And based on a series of novels that I would assume came out after they played the game. But it's so fascinating to like to realize the interconnectedness of all of those things of
Yeah.
like these people played D&D, their D&D campaign was as epic and meaningful to them as the original one that all of Faerun is based off of.
Mhm.
And so they wrote the novels and they made the show. And now they are finding ways to share that game with
Yeah.
like basically
Well,
share it back across the ocean.
I mean, again, they've had 35 years of what I would call unqualified success in the
Mhm.
Japanese RPG market. And now they're like, well, I guess why not? If someone else is going to take on the burden of the headache, sure, here's the rights. Where it sounds like um Mugen Gaming has the rights and is working very closely with with the designers with Group SNE to translate it appropriately.
Well,
Um,
that has got to be a dream scenario with translation. Translation
yeah,
is a very tricky art, especially when you're translating something so specialized as like gaming lingo.
Yeah.
And being able to directly talk to the person who made the thing to
Yeah.
really understand their
Well,
intentionality.
and like the people with the cultural context to
Yes.
understand like why a certain thing. Yeah. Um, TTRPG Insider has a specific note about translation and how they are trying to maintain the identity and not use distinctly Japanese words. Again, like
Interesting.
not having dived fully into it. I'm like, well, that means if they have a ninja class or something, we're gonna see that in English, not with a Japanese word and its context, but we're gonna see that might be just turn into rogue.
Yeah.
Um, they mention explicitly one of the classes that is built into this is a grappler class. And Western readers might assume that is like wrestling, uh,
Mhm.
WWE or like Greco Roman, like actual wrestling, grabbing this person. And in a Japanese context, this is another word for a martial artist.
Yes.
And
Fascinating.
we have a note that SNE insisted on that version of grappler being emphasized rather than what
Mhm.
again, I think as this is printed, we're going to see grappler class. Aha, wrestler. Oh fuck, no, it's monk, martial artist, something else.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's fascinating because the translation process isn't just linguistic, right? It's also like, how do I take this idea, which is very couched in the cultural canon of Japan, and bring it
Hmm.
back across to the US, which I'm sure was part of the initial challenge of making Sword World to begin with, is how do I take this thing, which is culturally couched in the canon of America and American pop
Hmm.
culture, and bring and export that. Like, what an
Yeah.
interesting, like, fluid movement from like one
Yeah.
country to the other and then back.
Yeah.
That I imagine the
Uh,
product is going to be fascinating to look at.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
When it releases, I'm certainly going to back it, and we can bring an updated report in a few months
Yeah.
whenever it's done. But yeah, I think my last note about this is that it seems to have been for 35 years heavily influencing manga and anime and other things that people are going to be familiar with. Specifically things you see Sword World's influence on Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest,
Yeah.
several recent
I
and
think of
classic
Dungeon Meshi, for
animes.
example. Like, it
Yes.
gotta.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Free Ren also is in there. Like this
Yes,
is
of
and
course.
so and this is where we're like, okay, why do we care about this? Who's going to play it? And it's like anyone who wants to have that version of an RPG
Yeah.
experience, I think.
When I was
Um,
living in
mm,
Japan, I had several friends from other countries because I was an exchange student. I had friends from other countries who did not speak English, but we both spoke semi-passable Japanese. Um,
sure.
and so we would forge friendships where Japanese was our lingua franca. But it was amazing
Hmm.
how many people I would meet where
Yeah.
English was our lingua franca. English is so, because of our cultural, legacy of
Dominance.
world domination,
Yeah.
is so useful in that way for
Yeah.
allowing you to, like, make these connections. It's so interesting to look at D&D as a lingua franca of fantasy
Hmm.
TTRPG experience
Yeah.
across countries like this. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Hello, rollers. It is I, your host, debatably friendly DM, and other things, Colin, here to welcome you to the midroll. Thank you for listening, and we hope you are enjoying this episode so far. This is your periodic interruption, brief as it may be, to remind you that the Roll Report is on many social media platforms. You can find us around the interwebs at The Roll Report Cast, on Instagram, on TikTok, and on Blue Sky. We don't do the other thing. We don't talk about the artist formerly known as Twitter. But you can follow us there for news and announcements, special clips from the interviews you may not have seen, and learn about who we're going to interview next. Because if you are very intrigued and curious about upcoming interview guests, if you head on over to patreon.com/therollreport and give us a single dollar, you can submit questions for our interviews, and only you and only our other supporters on Patreon will hear the answers. That's right, special Patreon-only Q&As with interview guests if you support us there and if you send us questions. Thank you so much for listening. Back to the show. Enjoy! So,
Humans are cool.
Humans are cool
That's
and make
neat.
cool art. I think that's the cool stuff, you know? We'll throw links in show notes to let people, find their own version of supporting this Kickstarter if they want to. But I'm going to, and I encourage you.
It sounds very cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what happens there.
Yeah. All right, Hannah. What do you got from Reddit for us today?
I would love to tell you what I got from Reddit.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Juicy.
So,
I like it.
This comes from Duke Argento at the r/DND. Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for asking 2 players to adjust their HP after not noticing for 5 levels?
Okay.
I have been DMing a VTT Dragonlance campaign, so virtual tabletop Dragonlance campaign, for almost 3 years now. It originally started with friends and coworkers as players, so I never charged and was very lenient with the rules. Players came and went as it normally goes, so the most recent iteration of the game has been 1 buddy of mine, a barbarian, and 3 randoms, bard, cleric, and monk, that are all friends with each other, including a married couple, cleric and monk. They started at level 3 and are all 8th level now. Everyone seemed to be having a great time, and I am still pretty lenient with the rules, and I homebrew the magical items all the time. The barbarian currently has a temporary scheduling conflict, so I opened the game up to 2 more players. In doing so, I started to review everyone's character sheet to get an idea on what items I should allow the new players so they feel balanced. In doing so, I noticed the cleric with a 15 constitution and the tough feat had 96 total hit points. The bard and monk,
8th level?
The bard and monk have 14 constitution and no tough feat, and they both have 75 HP. The barbarian has a 16 constitution in the tough feat and 101 HP. My leveling up rule is that you either roll in front of the group or you take the fixed amount, and no one rolled while we were in session, nor did anyone let me know they rolled outside of the session. I notified each player, other than the barbarian, because he took the fixed amount each level, individually to ask them to readjust or at least explain their statistically impossible, if not improbable, HP. The bard adjusted his and stated it was a D&D Beyond glitch. The monk changed hers, but messaged me back that she didn't like feeling like a liar. Her husband, the cleric, adjusted his hit points, but didn't respond in any way. The day of our next session, the cleric and monk both blocked me on Discord and removed themselves from the campaign. Am I the asshole DM for almost killing a 3-year game by not policing my players' HP earlier and making sure nothing was ambiguous about the leveling process? Or is the exiting of the cleric and monk a sign of their guilt?
Well, that's the hard one. My immediate response is you're probably not the asshole. Maybe not should have been paying more attention. The thing that would make this DM the asshole is really in the phrasing of this messages to people asking them to adjust their HP.
How did you ask? Right. How did you go about it?
And so but first, right. The issue actually is like leveling up in HP and what is best practices for that, which I think this DM made an error in not just saying everyone take the fixed amount or everyone roll at the table.
Right.
Yeah. Because I think this DM, you're not an asshole. You've just created opportunities for your players to like quietly fudge a roll and not really say anything. And only now it does seem like they're blocking DM and leaving the game server is an admission of guilt and cheating in this way. Or if this DM was like, hey, assholes, I noticed your HP is way too fucking high. Fix that before the next game. Either do this or this. Like, if you come on really strong and aggressive like that and assume the worst of your players, then you're the asshole and they probably left your game because you were an asshole.
Yeah. this came up for me as well, as I'm like, okay, what was the tone of those messages? Did you lead with curiosity and compassion, or did you lead with accusation? And like the fact that it was consistent across 4 people says that it wasn't probably necessarily, at least initially, insidious.
Well, and it says to me that also that, again, this is a systemic problem.
Right.
If everyone basically had this issue,
Yeah.
then like DM, you should have changed the system earlier and been paying a little more attention to their
Now,
cheats.
here's the thing. Now, they did all react in ways that were like, yeah, sure, it was a D&D glitch. Simply changing it, even if you come back and say, hey, I didn't like your tone, does indicate, hey, there was a systemic problem with how we understood we were supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
But I bring this all up because I wanted to talk to you. How do you feel about cheating in D&D? Because it's so hard to cheat within this system, right? Like it's not
hard.
It's hard to do, but it's not impossible. And I would actually argue that the motivations to cheat are pretty strong in places where you are not being observed and you know that like the system is disproportionately punishing towards failure.
Yeah.
So you stack the deck a little in your favor. How do you feel about that?
I mean, not great. And I think it's because what my practice is and what I would like of DMs is more talk to your players, right? And also more, well, some of the rules are fucking stupid and we should ignore them, right? And I say this where I'm like, okay, and actually I will say I am guilty of exactly what we're saying this DM is, where I'm kind of like, I don't care, take fixed, or if you want to roll for it, fucking roll for it. Although I do say you have to roll for it in front of the table.
Yeah.
However, I'm also like, you can re-roll ones.
Yeah.
Because nothing's worse than gaining a level and rolling your hit die and getting 1 plus your con modifier. Like that's,
Yes.
And this is the same like my version of crits, my version of natural 20s, where I'm like, you will do your normal damage plus a full roll, a max roll of your damage die.
It's very
so
generous.
if you got a rapier, usually you do a D8 plus 3. Then I'm like, when you crit, D8 plus 11. You might still roll a 1 on that D8, but at least you're not going to like double your dice and then roll a 1 and a 2 and be like, fuck, this is less damage than my normal attack.
Right.
I think it is wildly problematic to be playing a virtual game and suspect people of cheating. I think it is harmful for the DM and the players. Whatever the version of your cheating is, whether you're like, we're all on roll 20, but I'm rolling physical dice and no one can see what it is and I'm saying it's whatever. And honestly, as I'm saying this, one of the major reasons why I think this is bad practice is because the dice tell the story that is supposed to be happening.
Right.
And if you are actively fucking that up because you're like, I don't want to roll a 1, I don't want to fail, you're like, you have shut down a storyline. That is a no. That is not a yes and.
Yes.
The dice, you yes and the dice too. And so I think it reminds me of playing like solo RPG video games in a bad way. I don't give a shit if you cheat at Mass Effect. I don't give a shit if you cheat at at whatever at
like
God of War.
Like you scum save to go back to state so that you get to succeed on something that you would have otherwise
I don't
failed.
care. I do not care at all. Like whatever, that's you and your game. And if you're like a person that hates cheating, you're gonna get bent out of shape. Don't cheat. And if you don't, whatever. But when you're engaged in a collaborative game, one person or multiple people cheating is saying no.
Yeah.
And is not allowing everyone to tell the story together.
Yes.
So I am generally pretty anti-cheating.
Yes.
If you cheat in a really clever way, or if it's just a thing like, actually, that rule is fucking stupid, hell yeah, lean into that, then it's not cheating.
Yes.
And I'll remember, sometimes I think there's also inadvertent cheating or like uh I had a kid in my winter break D&D camp who had these die that were metal and spun like flat tops. So like
Uh-huh.
a flat disc and you spin it like a top and then it like wobbles to rest really slowly and then you kind of can't tell which fucking number it is.
Right.
And I was like, well, if this was longer than a week and I cared, I would tell him he's not allowed to use those dice anymore
They're too
because
confusing as to
he'd spin them and then he like hit them to stop it. I'm like, the fuck is this, man? Come on.
yeah, no, come on.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
do you feel about cheating, Hannah?
Well, I've played in a lot of virtual tabletops. That is actually the predominant way that I play. Is I play,
Hmm.
me and my friends are on camera and we're playing, and for a very long time we were rolling physical dice. Now, I'm not going to say that in every game that I've ever played virtually somebody has been cheating. That would be crazy. But it's happened. It's
Hmm.
happened. Every once in a while, you're playing with somebody and you're like, man, it's been a really long time since they rolled a one, huh? It's been a really long time.
Somehow they keep rolling over a 10
It's crazy
always.
how they just keep doing it over and over.
Yeah.
And I can humbly admit, there have been times when I've been like, I don't want to fail this one. I just don't feel like it. I feel like failure here is
Mhm.
going to really suck.
Mhm.
So I lied about it. And it doesn't feel good, but it also does mean that it's also almost impossible to detect, if you especially if
Yeah.
you only do it, like, once. And so I think, like, for me, virtual tabletops where I am rolling in front of everybody are for me. It's so that I don't
Mhm.
give in to the human temptation to be
Yeah.
like,
Sure.
"Actually, yeah, no, I got a
Actually, I
crit.
totally
I
nailed, like,
totally did
18 on the die and that
it."
lock picking,
Sorry,
yeah.
what was the save? Oh, it's a 16. Yeah, that's what I got for sure. Yeah, I think the temptation is too strong when you are
Mhm.
only accountable to yourself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that, like, but I also think what you bring up is a really good point, is that if you as the DM assume ill intent rather than assuming something else, being curious, being like,
Yeah.
"Hey, did I not
Yeah.
explain the rules very clearly? Hey, was the price of failure here too much for you to bear even hypothetically? Um, have I
Hey, are
have
you a wizard
I"
and you're just feeling so fucking squishy and you've just
Right.
maxed your die every
And you're
time you
like, and
roll?
you're scared. Are you
Yeah.
playing scared in such a way that you
Mhm.
feel like you don't have a choice but to cheat a little bit? Because
Yeah.
that's also a problem that, like, you could solve with your table. The thing
Yeah.
is, you do have to approach it in a really compassionate, curious way, because I think I certainly, if anybody had ever called me out for it, would have been very defensive and, like, had to really battle with my pride to, like, you know,
I
move
would have
forward from that
I would have
moment.
been embarrassed, but this is something I know
Yes.
about me. I'm like, I don't actually have feelings about, like, doing the thing that someone didn't want me to. I have a
Mhm.
lot of feelings about someone catching me doing the thing
Yes,
that I wasn't
yes,
supposed to do,
yes. Is I will be
or just or
very
doing the wrong
people
thing,
get really
Yeah.
embarrassed. You can hear it in, like, the cleric where she's like, I feel like you're calling me a liar, and I don't like being called a
Mhm.
liar." And people don't like being called a liar even when they are
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Well, and again, so this makes me really, really curious what this DM actually said.
Mhm.
Like,
Right.
what was your message to these people? Because right, we're only hearing one side of the story. It's very easy
Mhm.
to assume that this DM like reached out compassionately and carefully and just be like, "Hey, I know we're bringing these new people in. I'm going over everyone's sheet. I noticed this thing. Um this does seem statistically wildly improbable and none of
Mhm.
us have been rolling at the table. So like, what's going on?"
Yeah.
And then for the cleric to be like, "Well, you called me a liar, but I'm going to adjust my HP because you asked me to, DM." And then
Yeah.
just fucking leave. Like that
The person
again,
framing
I'm like,
the story is also the person
yeah.
who delivered the message, and,
Yes.
so it's hard to say exactly, like, what that
Yeah.
they don't say what they said, they don't go into how they said it. They could have said it in a nice way, they could have said it in a not nice way, and
Mhm.
I think that my experience at the table, when you become aware that somebody is cheating, is that calling them out directly is not usually a great way for everybody to keep having fun. Usually the best way to keep having
Sure.
fun is to solve for what you're pretty sure the issue is and
Mhm.
make it harder for them to cheat. So for me, it's been really helpful to have for like to be on roll 20 rolling in front of the board. That's been good for me. It means
Mhm.
that I am
Yeah.
more honest. It means that I am less likely to be tempted. And the fact that I've had conversations with my DM explicitly. I am a player, for example. I really don't want my character to die unless I do something really stupid. I
Mhm.
want it to be like very plainly telegraphed to me if I'm going to die, if that could be a consequence for something that I'm doing. And
Yeah.
having had those conversations, I now feel a lot more secure rolling poorly. And boy, howdy do I just to be clear, I
Mhm.
want to be clear. I roll really poorly a lot of the
I
time.
can confirm.
It's kind of crazy. It's statistically unlikely that I
See,
roll as poorly as I do.
it's so cool that somehow your wizard just automatically can't roll under a 10
Yeah.
in anything it's so cool that a
I
wizard somehow can just,
mhm.
like, can't get under a 23 in stealth. It's like
I infamously am playing a rogue who is pretending to be a wizard in Colin's campaign, and reliable talent is a godsend for me. I took reliable talent and then I took skilled so that I could be proficient in more
Yep.
skills. And that's for me. That's because I don't
Well
roll well, so I don't want
well,
to cheat. So I fix it
just
myself.
take 2 levels of bard, and then you get reliable talent in everything.
Expertise. Right.
I think jack of all trades, half proficiency technically counts.
Yes.
I
So
would probably rule it that way, but, like and I would just be like, "Well, the DC's 30 for everything."
this is my thing. Is like you
Yeah.
can build a character to have traits that make it so what you find scariest in the game is not as big of a deal. Um,
Yes. And as we always say, you can fucking talk to people.
yes.
DMs communicate better with your players. Players communicate better with your DMs.
Yes. Something that would have been really helpful in this situation would be
Yeah,
for a player to approach the DM and be like, "Hey, I'm a little unsure of how to do HP. I'm not really clear on how that works." It sounds like he's really loosey goosey with the rules. These are people who are
sure.
really new. That I think is context that is
Then that
very
shit's
valuable
hard
here.
anyway. Yeah,
Right. So and also he's not necessarily very close friends with them. So
yeah.
I think a little player bravery here, a little humility here from players would have been very useful. I just really hope that he approached it in a compassionate way. As long as you
Yeah,
did
same.
in a compassionate and curious way, then them immediately leaving the table does seem pretty suspicious. But based on
Yeah,
how many
yeah,
people
totally.
you had this issue with and how they all reacted, which was all pretty defensive, I do have a sense that maybe you didn't ask this as nicely as you could have. And maybe you assumed bad intent.
And well, and I always come back to like you might have written something really nice and it might have assumed good intention, but when you're not saying it to them personally
Yes.
and they're just reading your message on Discord, they can assign whatever meaning to it they want.
Mhm.
It could be you can text someone, "Hey, how you doing?" And someone could be like, "That snarky motherfucker knows I'm doing terribly. How fucking dare they send me a message?" And you're like, "Shit, dude, I just know it's been rough for you and I genuinely wanted to know how you are.
That Key
I
and Peele
care."
skit. Have you
Yeah.
seen
Oh,
that?
yeah, 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 exactly.
Yeah.
No one knows. No one
No
knows.
one knows.
No one knows your
So the
intent
best
unless you tell them or have the conversation
Yeah, the best
in
is either
person.
to explicitly state intent or
Yeah.
to have the conversation with them person to person.
Yep.
I think that it also instead of calling one person out, it can be very useful to speak to a whole group. So
Yeah.
that you're not
Yeah.
you're not naming
Totally.
names. You're not saying I think you are doing bad. You say, "Hey, we're all just going to roll in front of the table from now on. I will
Yeah.
also do it."
You could have shortcut this issue by just being like, next time everyone has a game, be like, "Hey, I noticed some weird stuff was happening with HP. So right now, before we start, we're all gonna re-roll. It's only 8 rolls of the fucking die. You're
Right.
fine. It's only
Let
gonna
me
take you 3
let me
minutes.
walk you
Let's
through how
all
it
do it."
works, and you
Yeah.
can choose which way you wanna do it, and we're just gonna retabulate HP just to make sure that the people who are coming in who are new, like,
Mhm.
they're
Yeah.
on even footing with you
Yeah.
guys.
And that is like the most gentle way of calling out, hey, something fucking weird might have happened. But because we have new players, we're just going to wipe the slate clean.
Don't
And
even
we're
worry about
not
it.
going to go through this shit again,
Don't
right?
even worry about it. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
I'm not changing your
So,
inventory. I'm not changing your loadout.
yeah.
We're just
Yeah.
gonna go back and do
We're just
HP.
re-rolling HP.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Also,
yeah.
as somebody who continually refuses to take the fixed value and keeps rolling very bad on my HP, I would love to take the fixed value. That sounds so fun.
Oh
I
my
would
God.
love that.
Well, I'm pretty sure we're gonna level you guys up soon, and just remember you can re-roll ones.
Absolutely. Looking
But
forward to it.
sometimes then you just get a 2, and you're like, well, fuck.
I was actually thinking of my barbarian with 67 health at level 7, but
Jesus Christ!
look,
You're having garbage rolls.
some of us pick different dump stats than others, okay? Some of us don't think constitution is that important because all I have to do is not get hit, okay? I get
As
to
a
have all my damage.
barbarian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do
fair.
have a +4 intelligence though.
Hot. Smart
Yeah.
variant. Love it. There's still I somewhere I'll find this maybe eventually. Like I at some point found like the story of someone, the smart Barian, and this was like some guy who built an insane grappling specialist, like wrestling move barbarian who did have an 18 intelligence and like walks up to the party and immediately kind of like starts spouting off lore about the goddess of like the cleric at the table and shit. It was an incredible story. I'll find it
I
sometime
love
just
that.
because you'll enjoy it.
I
Yeah.
will.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, well, what I have brought for us is less am I the asshole and more of like an whole D&D wide systemic complaint
Okay.
that I'm curious how we both feel about, and I think we'll have opinions as we frequently do. So this is just from r/D&D user General Links 2998. Why is it bad to strive for critical role levels? So, I never expect, emphasis on expect in the original text. I never expect the people I play with to be doing perfect voices, perfect scenes, etc. But I don't see why it's so bad to hope for that as some people here think it is. I love deep role play. I love characters connecting. I think it's better when the DM does voices to differ which NPC is which. I think character-based plots are better than generic ones. I'm used to full homebrew settings in various worlds created by the DM. I don't think any of this is required. I do think it makes for a better game. Why is it frowned upon to hope for that or to do my best to achieve or fit into that standard as a player?
I think that's a very good question.
I agree.
I kind of have the same question. I do think that when I think about why people react that way, like you don't have to be Matt Mercer being like something that I've heard people tell other people. Um, I do think that it's coming from this place of like pressure on the DM who already has a huge intellectual burden like going into a game like D&D. There's already a lot of cognitive load on the DM. And
Yeah.
so to feel like you have to perform like a professional at the table, at your home table, I do think puts a lot of pressure on DMs, especially young DMs, people who are very
Mm-hmm.
likely to get into
Yeah.
D&D after watching something like Dimension 20 or Critical Role. Um,
Sure.
but I would also say that is what I'm striving for, both as a player and as a DM.
Yeah.
That's what I'm aiming
Yeah.
for. Um, and I do feel like a lot of my home games do give me that. And it does make me like I think there are all kinds of players of D&D. I think there are people who are
Mm-hmm.
interested in all different kinds of things. I have played in games where it is very clear that the DM and the majority of the players have different interests than I do.
Yeah. Sure.
Mechanically, they are interested
Yeah.
in doing something different with the mechanics of this game than I am. And I think that's fine. I think that diversity makes the game interesting. I think it makes the community interesting. But I am a narrative, character driven player. And I am a role play heavy player. And so, if anything, like I'm aiming for Dimension 20, baby. I'm aiming
Mhm.
for
Sure.
I'm aiming for the adventure zone. Um,
Yeah.
I am here to make characters for to do something, to have something to say, to have an arc,
Mhm.
to be like fully embodied. Like when I play my home games, for me, I'm like, ooh, my favorite TV show is on, and I get to be part of it. It's
Mhm.
like that's the level that I am going for. That's the level I'm going for as a DM and as a player. And
Mhm.
it's very interesting to me to see a lot of pushback on the idea that your game should be this good. Um,
I think that is a very key word right there is the word should.
yeah.
And this connect like my feelings about this connect to things that we again, we've talked about this a lot. Managed expectations,
Mhm.
right? And in fact, one of the first comments I think calls out exactly this he says first, I never expect. And you're like, okay. And some people, without saying so, have an expectation going into their game, whether as the DM or as a player, and they don't say anything about it, but they just assume all D&D must be like the ones they've watched. And
Mhm.
whether or not they, as a DM or a player, has the necessary skills and experience to do something like that, or has an experienced DM able to walk inexperienced players through their role play.
Mhm.
Um, we were talking to Kitty about her dad. So, Kitty Stryker, great friend of the show, go buy her new book. It is awesome. It is about consent, which we all need to be learning and talking about more. Kitty's father is a 70s man in Massachusetts, like in New England, who has just started playing D&D, is playing a dwarven cleric, and had some conversation with Kitty like, well, how do I role play? What do I do?
Mhm.
And Kitty's like, well, why do you're a dwarven blacksmith. Okay, so maybe you can talk about how you temper the fire of your party's souls by healing them. Maybe you can talk about the blacksmithing you do. You, sir, are a blacksmith in real life. You can talk about this.
Right.
And in this context, people want to hear and will be excited. Right. And so that just by way of saying, if I'm a player and I want my table to be like Dimension 20 or to be like Critical Role, but I've never fucking played before and I don't know what's going on, walking in with an expectation that I've not said to anyone, especially not said to my DM, is going to make for a bad time for everyone.
Mm.
But if I go in and I'm like, hey, DM, I know I'm new, this is what I've watched, and like, I would like to aim for that somehow. How do we do that? Then it becomes a conversation between at least you and your DM, hopefully with the whole table, where you're like, do we all want to role play? Do we like role playing? Do we just want to grind out a dungeon combat by combat by combat? In which case, the people that want a critical role experience might be like, cool, I'm out.
Mhm.
I'm going to go find the role play heavy table that I want. But again, managed expectations. Don't come in with expectations about how the game is going to be played or run that you have not communicated to anyone. Because if you don't say anything, you don't get to be hurt when the thing doesn't happen.
I think too you're really hitting on something big, which is new players coming
Mm,
into the game, introduced to the
sure.
game by a production level uh like entertainment product like Dimension
Hmm.
20 or Critical Role, or even like, less sort of like shiny streamlined things like NADPOD or Dimension 20
Sure.
or Dungeons
I
and
mean,
Daddies.
Unbalanced
Um
Encounters does this. Unbalanced
right.
Encounters is finally straddling the line between scripted audio drama and actual play. And it's because one thing I will say here is like all many of these things, many of the most well-known things, those are performers
Right.
who do that professionally and have been doing it for 30 years and
Yes.
have 30 years plus of like diving into character and improvising and working together.
Yes. I think the projected authenticity of Critical Role
Mhm.
can convince people that this is just a home game. You are just a fly on the wall watching somebody's home game. And that is not true. Like that is not true at all. You are watching professional performers perform professionally. And they do an amazing job.
Yeah.
But I do think that also like, let me put this forward. I've never really gotten into Critical Role, I'll admit that. And part of the
It's
reason
fucking
why
6 hours long every time.
bingo, that's why, is because if you're sitting in on somebody's home game, it's really long and boring and you're not playing. So, for me, the impression that Critical Role often gives people are its high points.
Mhm.
The payoff to all the
Yeah.
time that you invested, like watching this person
Yeah.
become this character, design
Yeah.
their story with these other professionals. And the what you walk in with an impression of is, man, I want a session like that. And I can tell you, as somebody who's been playing this game for 10
You gotta
years,
have the 50 sessions
you
first.
have to have the other 50 sessions first. Like,
Yeah.
I just had a session like this. I just had a session like
Mm.
this
Mm.
in a friend's game where I was like, that is exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. And it's because we've been playing the game for 4 years and it
Yeah.
took us that long to get here.
Yeah.
And the last several sessions, I've walked away and been like, well, that was a whole lot of nothing. That was a whole lot of like, we're just doing stuff and like fucking around, and like, because you can't have a session like that every time. I'm not gonna have a session like that the next time we
No.
play that game. I'm gonna have to keep
No.
waiting and building to that moment. And I do think that
Yeah.
when you don't play the game, you've never played the game before, you don't know that. You don't know that that's what you have to do, that you have to build there, and you have to spend a lot of time
Yeah.
tediously sort of like getting into the dry mechanics of a game about playing
Well,
pretend.
I mean, and yeah, like even just think about your closest friends, right? You've known them for 25 years, however fucking long. You have to build levels of, if this is, our real life analogy, you have to build levels of rapport with people to then be present in big emotional moments for them, or have them be present for you, right? In D&D, you're like, well, shit, we're all going to trauma bond over like the death of our beloved NPC. Real world, my cat died. Who am I going to call to like support me in this time? It's going to be the people that I've built stuff with.
Right.
Or occasionally in the real world, you're like, well, actually, I met that person a month ago, but like we are so alike and we've become very close very
Yeah.
quickly. Sure, that happens. But in D&D, yeah, to create these kind of moments, like I'm going to think of one. Since we're talking about Critical Role, one of the things that has stayed with me for a long time. If you haven't seen the second campaign, whatever, spoilers. Bo and Yasha's date, right? Which is this beautiful episode. It's like a 4-hour episode of itself, where these two characters who've been kind of dancing towards each other for 70 episodes, which you're like, okay, 70 average of like 4.5 hours each. That's 300 hours of gameplay
Mhm.
to get this moment where the wizard reconfigures his magnificent mansion to give them an awesome date where they fight like weird jelly monsters they're like way overpowered. So it's just like a fun, let's look at each other, punch and swing our swords through shit, and reconfigure like a grotto fucking hot tub so they can have like cool, sexy times in the water. It is a standout episode that I think a lot of people really remember very fondly. It is one of my fondest memories of that entire campaign. But I remind myself often that's episode 75 or
Right.
whatever the fuck. Like it's in the later 3/4 of the show.
Yeah.
And so they had to get to that point. You don't build a tower by holding a brick in the air and saying, I'm going to stand on this brick. It falls.
Right.
You build every brick in the tower until you get to
Yes.
that point.
Yes. You have a lot to build in order to get that
Yeah.
experience. And I
Yeah.
do think that as much as DMs push against it, of like having this pressure on them, I think what doesn't get discussed is that there's a huge player obligation there too. If
Yeah.
you want a
Yeah.
Matt Mercer, you have got to be
You've
a
got to be Taliesin
you do.
Jaffe and Ashley Johnson and Laura Bailey. Like you, the
You
player,
have to come and be
you
Laura
need to,
Bailey.
the
Like,
DM. It's we do not play this game in isolation. This is a collaborative
right.
game. If you want that kind of table, everyone's got to be on board and everyone's got to like match or
Yes.
compromise their
You have
expectations
to be
somehow,
working with your DM. You
Yeah.
have to be bringing the energy. You have to be like embodying this character in a way that is engaging and interesting, not just to
Yeah.
you, but to other characters at the table. And you have to be willing to participate towards whatever goal the story is moving towards. You have to be an equal builder in that space. And I think the best campaigns, you can feel that. What I love about DMing is creating a concept that I bring to the table and my incredible friends say, that's so cool. What if I triple axled on it? What if I took what you had and built 70 stories in a direction you had no idea was even there? And I'm like, this is great. This is for me, actually. I just wanted to see what you guys would do with this, and you've made it so much better just by with the energy and thought and like the what you bring to the table. And that should be your goal as a player. Your goal should not be to find a Matt Mercer. Your goal should be to be an Ashley Johnson, be a Laura Bailey. Like that should be your goal in order to get those games, I think.
I agree. And again, I'm just going to come back to like our recurring theme of both communicate better with your table, whatever role you have at the table, like everyone's got to talk and be on board, and manage your expectations appropriately.
I agree.
And say, you know what? Say what you want and you might actually get it. And if you don't get to be mad about not getting it because no one knew you wanted it.
Yes. Talk about the game that you want to have explicitly. And then do the work and put in the time to have that game that you want.
Yeah.
Don't expect anybody to give it to you. You have to equally bring it, both of you, at the same time. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
And to come back to the actual question, why is it bad to strive for this? It's not in and of itself.
Right.
It's bad if the table's expectations have not been announced, managed, and met. And it's bad if people want to be playing different games.
It's bad if the DM feels like they have to do the job all by themselves.
Yeah. So I don't know. I push back on the this is Critical Role is bad for the game. I think it is poor communication is bad for the game.
Yes.
Like, I think it's totally reasonable to be a new player having only played Baldur's Gate and like watched Critical Role or Dimension 20 and want to find that experience, but you got to say it and you got to talk about it, and you got to accept that professional performers playing a performative version of a campaign is very, very different.
Yes. I don't think there's anything wrong with the amount of excitement and frankly knowledge that having D&D be much more in the mainstream, much more accessible. I think it's been great for the game. I think it's been amazing for the health of the hobby. I think the community is bigger and more diverse than it's ever been. And I think all of those people should get to play the game that they want to have, but they need to bring the work themselves. Right? You need, if you are going to play, if you want that game, you have to put in the work to have that game. You got to put in the time to have that game. And I will say, it is very worth it. If you are willing to do it, it is very worth it.
Put in the time, the work, and the communication. For this thing. What a good, positive, unusually positive place for us to come to, Hannah.
What a great podcast we've made just now.
I know. We're so good.
We're so good.
Hannah, where can people find you on the internet for more amazing opinions?
People can find me in all of my opinions at Booger Queen Draws on TikTok, Tumblr, and many other social media sites. I love making D&D art and saying things that people wish I wouldn't. Colin, where can people find you?
Oh my God. Well, you can find me on the Roll Report social media channels. We are at the Roll Report Cast on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. And if you love what we're doing or you want more unvarnished truths and opinions, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/The Roll Report for as little as $1 a month. You know what? If you give us $1, I'll give you an opinion. How about that?
Hey, I'll give it
to see how many opinions I need to have, right? And you know, if you can find my cats at No Good Cats on Instagram if you really would like more cat content, because we all need more cats.
I think so.
Right?
Yeah.
I think so. And I think that kind of does it for this info dump, Hannah. That was this is a good one.
I thought so too.
I like this one. Yeah. Until next time, friends and rollers, roll something. And communicate better. Roll and communicate.
Roll your way right into therapy. And learn how to communicate if you don't already know.
Yes. We'll see you next time on that note. Go tell your therapist we said hi.
I certainly will.